fun to hear what you're here this morning. Thanks for coming. You had a lot of other things that you could have been doing this morning, but you came here instead. I'm glad. My name is Lorna, and this is Mari, and it's our joy and privilege to be here with you this morning. I'm going to begin by reading a little short passage from Whispers from Eternity, which is Yogananda's book of prayer demands and poems, and all around lots of wonderful stuff. If you haven't read this or have a copy, you should have one. Number 179, make us transparent, that thy light may shine through us unimpeded. The sunbeams of thy love shine equally on all the members of thy cosmic family, whether prophet, hero, villain, tiny moth, or me. It's our own fault if we make ourselves opaque by our own mental and emotional dullness. Teach us to wipe away the dirt of error from the windows of our understanding. Our arms are weak for the task, owing to our long inner spiritual resistance. O Master Cleanser, lend power to our efforts that we may wipe away every last spot that clings to our minds, obscuring our transparency and preventing free entry to thy light. O make us fully clean again, invisible in our egos, because transmitting only visions of thy beauty, which lies within us. Light is the topic this morning. If you hadn't caught on to that yet. I had, recently I watched a documentary on TV, on Netflix. And it was about a cave in France. Some of you may know it. I think it's pronounced Chauvet. I don't speak French. But it was about this cave that has these cave paintings inside that's been discovered. And they believe that these are the oldest cave paintings that have been found, have been discovered on the planet Earth. And what happened is that there's this huge system of caves in these hillsides. And at some point in history, the caves were used by people, and there were beautiful drawings of animals, handprints. They're just, they're awe-inspiring, all within this network of caves. But at some point there was an earthquake, and the mountain shifted and closed off the cave. And it's been in darkness for over 30,000 years. I can't even comprehend that. This was found, it was discovered in 1994. And it just really is just mind-boggling. If you know anything about the cycles of time, I don't see Vyasa here this morning, but if you know anything about the cycles of time that are taught in the yogic tradition as well as others, we have these huge cycles that we go through of ages. The entire cycle takes 24,000 years. So this cave has been in the darkness, unseen by human eyes or animal eyes, for an entire yuga cycle, 24,000 years. We went back in time to the point where we are now, the rising Dwapara Yuga. And then you have to keep going back another 6,000 to 10,000 plus years. And it's just amazing to me. I can't comprehend that. Then all it took were explorers who found the cave. They came in with their flashlight, Energizer batteries, and the darkness was gone. It was just wrong. It's a beautiful, it just overwhelms me. It's such a beautiful symbol and expression, and outer reality of what really happens when that divine light comes into us, comes into any place. The darkness just is no longer there. If you don't know anything about the Yuga cycles, I have to say that Vyasa, who is an expert and co-author of a book on the Yuga cycles, will be giving a class next month, so be sure to sign up and then you'll know all about the Yuga cycles. Last week we sang a song, Give me a light to light my way. Truth is the light, so wise men say. And that, of course, is what this passage in the Bible is about and what we're talking about this morning. It's the light of truth and the darkness of ignorance or of misunderstanding. The light shineth in the darkness, and the darkness comprehended not. Comprehend is an interesting word. It doesn't mean just perceive. It wasn't that the darkness couldn't see the light. The darkness didn't understand the light. Comprehend means to understand, to look at it and to take it in and to actually know what's going on. That's when we say, I comprehend this. In the darkness of ignorance, the darkness of misunderstanding, that light could shine and shine and shine and shine as it does all the time. And the darkness just doesn't get it. We don't comprehend it. And so the darkness just stays there. I had an interesting experience the other day. I got an email from the Education for Life Foundation, and they were sharing about their new school. There's a new Education for Life school in Slovenia. We have a school here called the Living Wisdom School, and it's based on this philosophy that Swami Kriyananda, who's the founder of Ananda, wrote about and explained. And we have a teacher training, online teacher training, where we are training teachers in this Education for Life philosophy all over the world. Bharati is back there today. She's been teaching and training these people in Slovenia to start these schools. And so they were sharing these pictures of the school. It looks like an American school. We had pictures of the kids outside, pictures of the kids inside, and a big blackboard on the wall, and with these words written in nice, neat print for the kids to read. And it looked just like one of our schools here, except I looked at the picture and looked at the words on the blackboard, and I couldn't read them. This was Slovenia. and there was just, I looked at it and I had no idea those words could be a spelling list. They could have been, their menu of food for the day. They could have been stories, words from the story. I had no idea what the words were. And then later the same day, I was here walking through the temple, and I went through our room back here, which is behind our sanctuary, and it's our preschool room. And it was kind of like deja vu, because I'm walking through the room, big whiteboard on the wall, and there's these words printed on the board, nice neat printing for the children to read and understand. And I glanced at them, and they were in English. So I could see them and understand them immediately. It was butterfly, bees, birds. There was all these words there that I could understand. I comprehended what was going on. It's just so simple. There's just such a little switch from that ability to comprehend and that inability to comprehend. St. Teresa, we played this chant, we sang this chant this morning. And I love reading about St. Teresa. I've talked about her before here, because as I said, Yogananda said she's in our line of masters or saints. She resonates with these teachings. And so she has a book called The Interior Castle. As I said, she was a nun in the 1500s, and during a time when there was very little comprehension of how these things work. It was a much darker age. And she was a deep mystic. She had deep inner experiences and was asked by her superiors to write it all down. one of the reasons was, this was a period of time during the Inquisition where they were killing a lot of people for talking about things that didn't match up with what the church was teaching. And so it was one way to kind of check on her and know what was going on. And so she would write down all her experiences, and she would write to her nuns to teach them about how these things work. She had a vision of the soul, or the interior castle, that it was like a mansion of crystal. And the innermost chamber of this interior mansion was where His Majesty lived. She called the Lord His Majesty. It's wonderful to read her writings. She uses the language of the times, of course. So His Majesty lives in the center of this crystal castle, and that's where the sun, the light of 1,000 suns is. And of course, it's made of crystal, so all this light shines equally throughout all of the rooms of the mansion. And she tells her nuns how the way you enter the mansion is through prayer, through meditation. It's just yoga, it's pure yoga. It's how you go inside, how you go into the interior is to be quiet and still and to pray. And so she says those first rooms that you go into when you first have that experience, they're kind of dark and dim. But it's not because there's any lack of light. It's because as we go into those inner rooms, that inner experience at first, she says there's lots of creatures. There's snakes and vipers and wild animals and things that go in with us. And that's the world. When we're attached to the world and we are busy with our outer activities and the senses and all of the things that distract us from the world, when we first go inside, these animals and creatures come with us and they're poisonous. And you can't help but be bit by them sometimes, she says. And that's what prevents us from seeing the light. It's not because the light isn't right there. She actually says also, these are her words from one of the Interior Castle books. She says, it's very important, sisters, that we must not think of the soul as something dark. We may forget that there's light. We may forget that there's light we can see and also an interior light. It may seem so that the soul is dark. For the soul that's not in grace, and she goes on to say something that's for those who are not in grace, who are still in sin, who are still in that misunderstanding, are unable to see that inner light. But not from any defect in the sun of justice. That's another phrase that she has to refer to that inner sun. S-U-N, sun. Who is within it and is giving it being. The sun of justice who is within it and is giving it being. That's where we come from. That's what gives us being, is that inner light, that inner sun. The saints see that, and they know that, and they live in that understanding. Yogananda, who was this master here, Yogananda said, if only you can see yourselves as I see you, you are all beings of light. We refer to him as a self-realized master. To realize something is another way of comprehending. He fully comprehends what it is that's going on. He fully sees that and fully realizes there's nothing blocking his understanding, and so he sees that light all the time. And he sees that we're all made of that light. Light comes from vibration. So we all came from that inner stillness, that center of the star. You go beyond creation into that inner stillness. That's where our origin is. And what happened is, from that stillness came vibration. And then that vibration became light. That's how we have light. There has to be movement. There has to be a vibration. It makes me think of, these are the things that are in my brain. Star Trek. I raised 3 children during Star Trek years, so Star Trek was big in our house. But in Star Trek, they have transporters where they stand and they beam them from place to place, That's further down in the Yuga cycle. It's coming, but we're not there. So they stand and they get beamed. But what happens is when you watch this, there's nothing there. First, they stand, if you're watching the transporter where they're coming, not when they're leaving, but when they're coming, you see this, and there's nothing there, and then there's the shimmer. There's this, the magic of CGI, computer-generated graphic. You see this light, this shimmer, this movement first, and then gradually it gets brighter and brighter, and then there's standing Captain Kirk, standing there in the thing, there he is. And it's a picture I have. That's our origin as well. There's nothing there. There was stillness, and then there was vibration, and that vibration became light, and that light became us. We're made of light. That's what we are, and that's what we're trying to comprehend. That's why we're here today, because we're trying always through all of these techniques, all of the things that we're doing, we're trying to get to that comprehension in order to see that all the time. There's healing prayers that we do. In fact, today we have healing prayers today, right after service. We meet once a month in our healing prayer circle. We praise for one another, praise for the world. We often visualize light. People often ask, they have this dilemma about praying. What do I pray for? Do I pray for healing? Do I pray for a cure? If I'm sick or somebody, what if that's not God's will? Do I pray for, pray for this situation to go away? What if this situation is something that I need to learn, and it's my karma, so it's supposed to be there, but so how do I pray? So what we're told, what we often do is pray and visualize light. We send light, as we say our own, we visualize light here. We see the person that we're praying for surrounded in light. We see that situation that we want to comprehend better. We see it in light. Because if we don't comprehend, if we don't understand what's going on, then what happens is we have this little darkness. We have the darkness that's sitting there and doesn't get it. And so that's where our pain comes from. That's where misunderstanding comes from. That's where our suffering comes from. If we comprehend, if we understand what's going on, if we see that everything is light, then there's no pain. There's no suffering. There's just light. So visualizing and using light as a way of asking and praying for that comprehension, praying for greater understanding, having more light around us and within us is a wonderful way, a very powerful way of praying for others. Light is actually something that you can see in a lot of different ways. I see people come to Ananda over the years. I've been part of the Ananda, part of this path for over 30 years. I've seen a lot of people come and go. I've seen a lot of people come and stay. But you can see people being transformed and becoming more and more filled with light. Because when people come searching to a spiritual path, there's usually because they're in pain, because they don't understand. They know that there's something more. They're reaching for something and for greater awareness and greater understanding, but right now their comprehension is very limited. And so they come with shadows and with darkness. And I've seen people who come, I remember a particular woman years ago who's no longer a part of Ananda Sangha here. When she came to Ananda, sincere, loving, lovely lady, she dressed all in black all the time. She had hair that came down over her face. She walked kind of schlumped, there was an energy around her that was just, she didn't comprehend the light. And there was not a lot of room for light there. And as she did what we do, which is, mingle with each other, pray, meditate, sing, chant, come and search and open up, and what happens is the heart gets softer and softer and more open. And she just, last time I saw her, you know, she was dressing in bright colors, you know, her hair was above her face, her face was radiant. And it's not Ananda, you know, this building that does that. It's the opening of the heart. It's letting that light in. It's asking for comprehension and gradually learning and understanding more and more so that that light shines brighter and brighter. Swami Kriyananda, who's the founder of Ananda and the direct disciple of Yogananda here, often at the end of his life, he passed away last year. As he got closer and closer to the end of his life, more and more people I heard him describe him as translucent, as radiant, as glowing, as just beaming light. And it wasn't just sentiment and you know, imagination. It was true. You could just see that light shining through him because the darkness was just gone. It was gone. And it's the same for all of you. The joy of being up here and looking at all of you is that light just beaming through you and coming through, because it is what we are. And the more we look for that, the more we dive into these teachings, the more we meditate, the more we open that light, then there's nothing in the way. And just as in the whispers, we become more and more transparent so that we're not really there and there's just the light coming through. The fact is that Master Yogananda would talk about light as being one of the 8 manifestations of God. And it's interesting that this reading about the light comes right at the beginning of the year. It's the 3rd reading that we have in this year-long sort of curriculum that Swami wrote for us, that we use every week in our Sunday services. And light is that manifestation of God that we can all experience in so many ways. And we can actually, if we don't see that light shining like Yogananda did in the reading where he saw Gopal just blazing with light, but we can invite more light and actually bring more light into our lives and tune into that aspect of God in a lot of different ways. You can wear white. The reason we wear these white robes is just a reminder of the light that comes through all of us. And I had a period of time when I was really struggling with a lot of things, and it seemed like I was really confused a lot. I didn't know why. I had an astrological reading. And one of the things he told me was that it would help if I wore white, if I wore more white. And it did. I mean, it seemed kind of a little woo-woo to me, you know. Why would what I wear really have an effect on the confusion that I feel is in my mind and in my heart? But what happened is, as I wore more white all the time, I just felt surrounded by this glow of light. It's really fun to wear these, because you just feel like you're shining, you know. And that's one way of inviting more light and having more light in your life. And you can do the same thing in your home, you know. Make sure you open the windows and the blinds and get in the light, even if it's sort of grayish light. It's still light coming in. I noticed a lot around our Ananda community, our residential community, and I notice more and more that the Christmas lights don't go away. People have little twinkle lights. And they have little lights, and I see them outside, and I see them inside people's houses. I know probably has little twinkle lights. It's so warm and inviting and lovely. It's a wonderful way to have more light in your life. Just turn on the light. Have light. It reminds you all the time. And you can also, as I said, like when we do healing prayers, you can visualize light all the time. It's a really powerful tool we have up here. Our imagination and our ability to make real with our thoughts and with our intention. And when you see people, to visualize that light around them. Visualize yourself filled with light. And when you touch other people, when you shake hands, when you greet other people, visualize that light coming through you and blessing and touching everyone. And we become more and more of a real channel for that light to others. And the instrument is blessed by what goes through. The light comes through you, and that darkness, that comprehension, that lack of comprehension gradually goes away to where we understand and we see that all the time. We have, I know we already did an affirmation today, but I want you to stand up and do another affirmation. Close. Do it strongly, do it with intention, and with the light of truth. Repeat after me. I am a child of light.
I am a child of light.
I radiate light in everything I do.
I radiate light in everything I do.
God's light is forever within me.
God's light is forever within me
And around me.
and around me
And flowing through me.
and flowing through me.
I am a child of light.
I am a child of light.
I radiate light in everything I do.
I radiate light in everything I do.
God's light is forever within me.
God's light is forever within me
And around me.
and around me
And flowing through me.
and flowing through me.
One more time, because 3 is the magic number. I am a child of light.
I am a child of light.
I radiate light in everything I do.
I radiate light in everything I do.
God's light is forever within me.
God's light is forever within me
And around me.
and around me
And flowing through me.
and flowing through me.
Oh, peace.
Peace.
Amen.
Amen.
You may sit down, children of light. And now